Welcome, everyone. It's John the Net Guy. I just added all of our friends. Had to do a little bit of work to get going tonight. I see we got Green in the house. I see a couple other people join in that are our usual suspects. I got a great show. I've got 8 total products tonight. A couple of them are going to be kind of a first time introduction, which will be interesting. So let me know how my audio sounds if you can hear me. I see a couple people chatting away in here, and we will get going on the demos here. I have to hit go live on Amazon. They're the ones that always are a problem when I get ready to go. So here we go. Oh, I see a Jonathan Talks Hardware, and Jonathan Talks Hardware says, I see you and I hear you. So that's great. So perfect. Here we go. 3, 2, 1 on Amazon. And go live. So we'll know how long that delay is. I am going to pull out our first product because we're getting started a little bit late, but I'm going to say hello, everyone, on Amazon and hit go. Got to keep the show iPhone going. I'm going to go ahead and plug that in over here because we're going to have a lot of devices out tonight. The first product up on the show is from Hue. Now, I bought this almost a year ago, and it's really funny. The way Amazon works, I get paid a very small single-digit commission for the products that I demo for you if you watch the whole video and then purchase afterward. This is one product that I am not going to recommend you buy. So I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to do a anti-review on this one. People are going to love to hear that. But I am not impressed with the product, especially for the price that they're charging for it. This, and I will bring it down on the top-down camera, is the Hue HD Pro document camera. Now, what does this thing do? Well, it is a webcam, a desktop camera, and it can also replicate your item on your desk up on a wall. Now, we homeschool in this house, and I was thinking about a year ago, this would be a great little product. I fell for the advertising, and unless they've substantially improved it in the last year, I am not impressed. Now, let me show you what you get inside the box. I've got the blue edition, but what's cool about it and what sold me is they have all these really cool kid-friendly colors. And I was really excited about the kid-friendly colors on this one and being able to use it as a document camera. I showed you a shredder last week. So this is from the Hue company, the HD Pro. Now, there's 2 ways to use it. You've got this base station, which is pretty heavy. It's a weighted base. And then you have the camera itself, and it's got a really neat slinky arm. It's a cute looking device, and maybe my kids would pay attention in school if we had this. I'm just looking to make sure I get that connection correct. You know what happens with USB-A, right? You try it the one way that it's supposed to work, and it doesn't. Then you try it the other way, and it doesn't, and then you bring it back, and then it works. So this is how the thing stands up. I'm going to take you guys back to the other view here in just a second. So this is what it looks like. So you can use it as a webcam, and you know how hard webcams were to find. So this is that Hue camera. Now, what's neat about it is you can actually tilt it over and then use it as a document camera, and it comes with some special software, which we'll install. If you want to use it with the base like that, you're going to need to use this cord. You can also plug it in directly to a laptop because it's a USB-A connector. I'm going to bring these out to the side. Now, I am going to plug it into the show laptop, and you're going to get to see side by side with the show laptop exactly what I'm seeing. I'm also going to show you the software for it. So let's go ahead and plug this thing in. So again, super easy to hook up. It does use the UVC webcam driver, so you don't have to have any software to use it. And to test that out, I'm going to do something really interesting here. I think we might have had an echo in there. Sorry if I had an echo. I'm going to go to video. There we go. And I am going to use the Hue HD Pro camera at its highest setting. And there we go. So there's the camera on this one. The frame rate on it, not great. Now the picture there is way better than the software, but you can see how blown out it is. So I guess in a pinch, if you needed a webcam, sure. It also has manual zoom here. So you're going to see a manual zoom range as I go over it. It's letting me know that I'm muted over there. So hopefully you're only hearing me one time. So that's the overall webcam. In a pinch, it would work. I want to take the silly eye chart here, make sure I got the right side up. Not bad, but the auto exposure on this thing, pretty aggressive. And then let's look at it as a document camera. So, I thought again, auto exposure would be a little bit better on this thing. And automatically, it is upside down. So you have to take it into their software to flip it over right side up. And I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick here. So I'm going to turn the camera off on this app. I'm going to go in here and change to a different camera so we don't have a conflict. And then I'm going to open up the Hue Intuition software. Now I'm going to bring you guys over here in just 1 second. Okay, so this is the Hue Intuition software right here that you're seeing. And actually, to do this properly, sorry, 1 second, I need to turn this display source off. And then I'm going to go to the HD Pro camera. Okay, we'll come back over here, and hopefully you guys see me in the corner. I'm using the Hue Intuition software. Frame rate is really low, and you can see it's at 1280 by 720 resolution. So if you're going to do OCR or other things, that's not going to be the best resolution to get a good image out of this. So I can go ahead and do video. I can go in here to the scan mode. I can bump the resolution up, which has gotten better already. So now I'm at 1920. But then you can see the frame rate is just super slow. It's got that jelly shutter. And then I have to manually focus. I wish it had autofocus. And, for the price, this thing's $71 right now. I'm just flipping this over so you guys can see it in the normal direction. So I have to use this app if I want to flip the direction of it. That's another drawback to it. So picture's getting better, I think. But again, you can see how it kind of wanders with the exposure and then the super low frame rate. So if I want to do that, I can take the snapshot here and I can save it. So I've scanned that item. As a document camera, I can come here to this document mode. They do have a neat thing with this Intuition software. I can say, something there, update. Oh, well, it doesn't like that. So let's do a box here, update this in next version. So it has some basics that you can do. I don't know if you can edit things again. I can take a picture of that, and then that saves also. So works out. Every second, the audio is stuttering a tad bit, Jonathan Talks Hardware says. Okay. I will have to take a look at that. Sorry about that, Jonathan. Just want to make sure that I am not on Wi-Fi. Usually the Wi-Fi is what gets us. So I will double check on that when I get back. Okay, cool. So that's overall the Hue software. Let me pull up real quick the place that it stores the images so you guys can see what I've been playing with earlier today. So this is the image. If I bring it back over here on the PC, this is the image right here. Like I said, this is in the next version update. So you can see that. So, again, not super crisp. I can't read the document text that I had here. I don't think I was that unreasonably far. I guess I could get a little bit closer. But, if you're going to use this as kind of a document scanner, I don't think it fits the bill on that. So let's go take a look at the Amazon page for this one. I'm going to bring that up here in a new browser. That's the URL that you're seeing scrolling across the bottom. So hopefully you're seeing that. Give me 1 second here. Amazon, and I'll go to my Amazon page. This is what it looks like. If you ever want to see the products that are on this show, go down and look for that Tech Day 403. 2004 is our third show. And these are the products that I was going to be showing today. I'm going to go into this camera. It is $79 right now, $79.95. And like I said, it's one of the first products that, I don't think it's there yet. Maybe if it was half that price, it could be an interesting play if you're looking for something like this. So, funny, I have to pay my editor to edit this video, but I would recommend, an alternative, maybe even a top-down webcam. Some of the other webcams that are below $100 right now with a holder would do very similar to this. And they even go up to 4K, which would be appreciated here. So let me change one of my settings. Speaking of settings, in here, so this room doesn't get baking while we're doing our demo today, and then we will get going with the next product. So that is the Hue HD Pro. So let's go over here. The next product is actually one I've wanted to show for a while. I've had it for about a year. Let me know, by the way, Jonathan, if the audio is still rough. I can look at a couple things and maybe we can even switch microphones. Jonathan saw network switches. Oh, yes. I've got a 10 gig network switch coming up that you guys are going to like. And got a lot of cool stuff coming on today's show, actually. So, like I said, it's going to be a little bit different than previous because I'm going to do a couple just introductions of some new products, but they're going to take a little bit longer to install. So I wanted to show them to you guys before I spent this next week doing the full-blown install, and then we'll see where we go from there. So and yeah, let me know if that audio is better, Jonathan. I think it had noise cancellation on, and I had this mic on this laptop, so I don't want that to hurt anything. The next product is awesome if you are looking for a remote replacement. If you're like me and you have a million devices, I've got a TV with a receiver, I've got the different players, different sound bars, different everything. This was our old solution for that, right? You'd have a Logitech Harmony in here. You've got the Apple TV, believe it or not, a DVD, Xbox One, music, all the other options that you could use. So this was the Logitech Harmony. I've had all sorts of different ones, but they discontinued these. The next one, and the screen on it is actually great. You're seeing it. It's a little bit scratched up because my kids have been using this for almost a year, but I wanted to show it to you after a long-term test. And this is the Sofa Baton. What a name, right? So it's just like a baton. This is the U1, and it's not only a programmable universal remote, it's affordable, and it works with Bluetooth devices like your Apple TV. So we're big Apple TV fans in this house. It has that capability. Now, when I mentioned that it is programmable, here we go. Hey, Joanna, she just said 403 of streaming, year 4, show 3. Yeah, I probably should call them seasons and episodes, but who knows? So let me bring up the iPhone on the show here so you guys can see it. But there's an app called the Sofa Baton app. So we'll bring up the phone and you guys can see this is my show iPhone. I'm going to bring up the app, and the way that you program this is pretty interesting. It actually utilizes the Bluetooth in your phone to add and remove items. So this is the list of the devices I have. Now I could add items in here. I can program them with infrared, but interesting. They're getting a stutter. Maybe I am low on battery here, or just checking the audio cables, make sure I don't have a cable wrapped around something. Oh, thanks, Jonathan. Take a look into that. Give me 1 second. I want to make sure I've got good audio for you in my raw. If you're still listening, let me know if you hear the same thing in the audio department. Yeah, it looks normal. Let me go into one more setting, audio, and make sure I don't have line level audio on both of them. Interesting. Okay, well, I will hope that the recording has that and I can clean that up. Sorry for that, Jonathan. And maybe I'll adjust that and see if that helps at all. So Bluetooth or infrared are the two options that you have here. So a Bluetooth device would be something that is discoverable and you want to use it as a Bluetooth control. An infrared device is something that needs to have line of sight. Now you can get some infrared repeaters, and I've used those. That's worked in the past. The straight Bluetooth devices are going to be like your Apple TV, some Androids, Fire TVs, and others. The neat thing about that is you don't need line of sight. So I tuck and hide all my components behind my television. So that's one part of this. Now, as you can see, if I bring this back up over here on the top down, I've already programmed a few things into this. So into this one, I have an Apple TV. I have a Samsung. I have Onkyo, that's my receiver. So I've got my TV, my Apple TV, and my Onkyo on this one right now. The other thing that's interesting is as more TVs are doing the HDMI CEC standard, you can start to control your TV volume with an app, things like that, your receiver volume. You can turn things on and off at the same time. It is reducing a little bit the need for these, but I love the fact that this is here because my TV is about 10 years old, a plasma. I love it. The blacks are wonderful. They're great. And I need to still have an infrared remote control to use that. So let me show you how you get into the programming mode on this one. I have to close the app fully, and then we will show you how to pair it. So with the Sofa Baton, let me go over here to the correct input. So with the Sofa Baton app, as you bring it up, you pick which one you have. So in this case, I have the U series. Now it sees my Sofa Baton, so it's going to say connecting, successfully connected. So there are the devices that I have on here: an Apple TV done via Bluetooth, a Samsung. Now you can also do some interesting rules. I did use their customer service to help me set it up, and these guys are awesome because that Onkyo model, I didn't know exactly how to get the right volume controls. There's so many different infrared options, so they were actually able to help me with that and get it working. So the other things that you can do when you hit add here, like I said, you can go to an infrared. You could do searching or learning. So it's very similar to the way Harmony did theirs. The database is getting better, and this is actually stored on their side. So you could say I have an LG TV, and you can see the hundreds of models, maybe even 1,000 LG TVs it has. You just type in your model number if you know it. Now, if you have something that's incredibly difficult to get added, go ahead and hit learning. You can put the remotes up to each other. You hold the button down, and it'll actually learn all of the controls. So this will work with things that are not in there. You can also go within a specific device, and then you can map the keys. So I can say, you know, this TV key that I have here, I want to use it from the original remote. I want to learn a remote, or I want to reassign it, or I want to create a macro. So they've got a bunch of programmable keys. So if I come down here to like red, I can say red, I'm going to create a macro. Well, what is my macro going to do? I'm going to say, well, it's going to turn the Apple TV on. So I've got that, and I want to hit that. Then I'm going to go into the Onkyo, and I'm going to turn the volume onto mute. And then I'm going to go to my Samsung TV, and then I'm going to have the power button mapped on that one. I'm going to see here. So it's just downloading the controls here. So it's creating a process. And so now that's that. And then I hit save. Now, while it's been doing that, you'll see on the device remote itself, I'll bring you guys over here on the side. So it's actually downloading, it says right there. So it's using Bluetooth. And now if I hit that red button, it's actually running all of those steps. As I hit the red button, it's doing the things that we programmed. So it has that macro capability, which was very similar to the Harmony. So if you're looking for a Harmony replacement, nothing quite compares to this, but this one is very, very close. So I want to say thank you to Sofa Baton. They did not send this out. I purchased this, but they helped me get it set up. It's been a lifesaver in this house. Now I'll bring you over to the Amazon page on this one. They actually have a newer or more advanced version, I would say. So let me bring you guys back over. So this is the Sofa Baton right here. Now this is the 2023 upgrade edition there. There's also, so here's the U2, looks like a little bit different model, a little bit cleaner looking. Let's go into the Sofa Baton store, because they have several different ones of these. The X1. So the X1 is the one that has all the voice controls and other cool things. And so that's answering your question there earlier, Jonathan Talks Hardware, about if it has home assistant capabilities. This one is much, much more expensive, the X1, but it looks like it has more capabilities. Now, specifically for my frame TV behind me here, so when you guys see that, that's actually a television back there. I wasn't able to get it to work because the remote on that one is super sophisticated, but I believe if I had the newer one, it would probably integrate. So very cool there. That is the Sofa Baton that I wanted to show you guys today. Let me go ahead and pull up the next product here. I want to make sure I have the right ones in the right order here. And did it come up? I'm going to have to add this one. Give me 1 second. I need to add something to the carousel. That never happens. Give me 1 second. I'm going to pull the product out here so we can see this and get it started. Let me go back, add product. Search. Okay, I want to make sure I get the right one here. And this is the three-way safe. Okay, adding this up. Now, this is a safe. I cannot use one specific word when talking about this device, unfortunately. You're going to know what that word is pretty quickly because you guys are smart and you can guess because Amazon does not allow me to use that word. Let me go back out over here, and I'm going to make sure I have it on this Oh, this is unfortunate. Sorry, guys. I thought I had this product in here, and I want to make sure that you guys have the best experience. So let me get back over here to the Amazon page. Add this. You're going to see how I do things here if I bring this up. I have to add one of my products to the show page as well. I forgot I had an extra product here. Okay. We'll do this real quick, do an intermission. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Friday night here. There it is. And where did that one not come up? I want to make sure I tag the exact right product here, because if I don't, that can actually be trouble. There it is. Sorry about that. And we'll do done. And we'll close out of that. Go back over here and refresh. There we go. Okay, we'll get started back over here. I'm going to go the top down. So the next product up is a personal possession safe. There's a lot of interesting things about it. It is a biometric safe with a couple extra different ways to access it. I'm going to pull out the manual. You're going to have a couple cards that you can save with trusted friends or anybody that maybe needs access. You're going to have 2 keys that access your safe, and this is that side tumbler design. A lot harder to pick than your standard rake picks. This is not impervious to picking or trying those kind of things, but it's a lot harder to for the basic users. Now, this is the safe itself. It's pretty heavy. So it's got some weight to it. Is made out of steel, and then it is powder coated. It can sit on a shelf or do whatever, but you'll notice these 2 little small holes here. That's for mounting it. So I was able to actually set this up a little bit earlier, but I'm going to go through the whole setup process with you guys so you'll see what's involved. Now, the manual is super easy to follow. Let me get this thing back down here. We'll set it up on the box so you guys can see it. And I want to make sure that we get this guy over, because when we do this close-up work, it's nice to have this angle here. So I'm going to go ahead and take the key and put it into this slot. And that's the first way you're going to open it. Now, when you open it, you're going to get a couple extra items here. And those extra items are going to be a very small screwdriver, a backup USB cable, some screws if you want to hard mount this thing to a wall or a desk or something. And that backup USB cable goes there. So if you ever have a power outage or an issue, you can do that. And then inside, you're going to have a lithium battery here. So this is one of those hopefully long-lasting lithiums. I didn't look to see if it was going to be rechargeable or not. I will do that when we look at the product page for this. Now, inside of it, there's a battery compartment. This is what you're going to have to do when you set this up. Let me see if I can get you better on the top down. So see this screw right here? That's where I'm going to put my battery. Now, the flat side goes against the spring. They have that right here. So just for, again, you get the brand new battery in here instead of having one sitting in there in the factory and potentially leaking. You get a full battery. Now, you'll notice right away that there's a light in here. My hand, it shows a light. Now, there's a couple interesting things about this. I've already programmed my fingerprint in it. So it is a biometric safe. So without the key in it, if I put my finger on there, it opens that quick. So let's look at that one more time. This is from nothing to open is about 1.5 seconds. So not bad if you need quick access to your money, your candy. I got to keep my wife away from the candy. So there we go. So that's a quick open mechanism there. There's also a couple other ways to open this. So I showed you already the fingerprint access. Let's talk about codes. So I actually put a code in earlier. Let's see. So same kind of thing. It requires a 6-digit minimum code. Now, that's a questionable part because you need to have 6 digits to have any level of security, against people, tampering with this thing. But it's also in a hurry if you're trying to hit these buttons and they're not numbered. So I got to hit OK to wake it up. That was my code. And then I got to remember to hit OK. So there's 7 clicks, maybe 8 clicks with a 6-digit password to get in. So really the fastest way is still fingerprint to get in this. Inside of here, let's say we were going to put in our cash. We got a bunch of cash in there, right? We could do that. One thing that would be nice, and if you're picking these up, I would recommend one of these highly, is actually a flame resistant waterproof bag. I actually like to put my cash in that inside of safes like this, so that if we do have a hard mounted safe and you need to access your cash quickly, so there you go. Maybe you got to pay somebody. Maybe somebody in the middle of the night was coming to your house and you need to give them some cash or whatever's in here. You want to be able to access this quickly in an emergency. So that's one way to do it. I want to check one thing, and this is live. I have not tried this yet, but let's say that battery does completely die. Let's see if the backup mechanism works, which is kind of cool. So several ways to open it. You can use the key. That's one aspect. I'm going to remove the battery and see if this backup USB cable does it. Programming it is, by the way, super duper easy. You cannot get it wrong. Set password button right here. Set fingerprint button. You hold those down. You put your finger on it 5 or 6 times. It'll turn green and beep 3 times. You're done. If you did the same thing for password, you hold the password button down. It'll blink. You put in a 6-digit password, hit OK, and you're done. So both of those are great. Now I'm going to lock my cache in here again. I can't get into it. Another interesting thing when you're looking at these personal item safes is look to make sure that there's no like exposed area where you could pry this or pry on it. That can always be a problem. So a lot of these are either flush or recessed because they don't want to give you a pry. Also look that there's no rivets on the outside for drilling hinges or things like that. Some of these, when they're for automotive, will have a little notch and maybe a steel cable. The price on this thing is fantastic, though, so I want to make sure that you guys are able to see that. This is the smaller of 2 sizes. I'm going to bring this up on the side camera here, so you or on their website, so you can see this. $65.98. So for a personal property protection safe, you don't get that kind of pricing. Usually they're usually well over $100. So this thing is pretty good. It's got good ratings, 2,600 sales. I was very impressed to see that, because that tells me it's not a fly-by-night company. They've got, over 3,000 or almost 3,000 reviews. I'm going to go ahead and plug into a product that we added last week. Remember, we added this power station into here. I'm going to plug it into a regular power station. And then I'm going to go ahead and plug this into the front of the unit here. So hopefully you guys are seeing this. Now that powers the unit up. So I'm able, with this backup power system, basically, to use the unit. I'm going to try my fingerprint first. Okay, so now I have access to my cache. So in doubt, when the battery does completely die or not exist, you can still get to it. I'm going to try the code one more time. What's the answer to life, the world, and everything? 4242. There we go. Hitchhiker's Guide reference there. So that works. And then the key is automatically going to work. So overall, very impressed with what they've put together here. Let me show you one last feature. If we take it out and we go to the bottom here, whatever you do, don't lock your key in here, because that's going to be one of your main backup ways. Let's go in here. And you can see those 2 little holes on the inside. This is a removable cushion for your cache. You don't want your cache to get dinged or damaged when it gets dropped maybe in here or rapidly removed or placed. So yeah, they have a nice cushion on the bottom here for your cache. There you go. So very nice. Let's go ahead and take a look at the site. I want to double check on the fingerprints, the count of fingerprints that you can have in here. So we got biometrics, we got that. I don't see a limit to the number of fingerprints. That's what I was looking at real quick. Let's take a look at the manual. Manual's pretty straightforward. It talks about using the edge of your finger, which you do. Function, the default mode and the default operation on this when it has power. Now mine didn't come with it, but the default code is 11111 6 times. So 6 ones. Fingerprint setting. Up to 40 fingerprints can be stored in the safe. That's a lot of fingers. So hopefully that's a good sign. I'm going to go ahead and plug this thing in just so I can get into it one more time and put the battery back in. But it is self-contained. Battery life on these things is usually at least a minimum of a year. So that's really good to know. I'm going to go ahead and put the battery back in the proper way. So again, spring towards the flat side. And then I'm going to go ahead and put this all the way in. Let me know if you guys have in the chat a safe like this currently. It is always my recommendation, at least somewhere in your house, to keep your kids safe. These things are great even for medication, believe it or not. Our kids have been able to get into surprisingly numerous areas in our house when we think that they're safe and not able to access them. So there you go. So you can see there's the front of it. Now it's back on battery. Oh, I missed hit that one. Now it worked that time. Let me try a different finger. So it is definitely testing it. Now, is it going to have a lockout feature? If I miss it too many times, we're going to find out. No. Oh, there it goes. Well, no, it looks like it's going to let you try multiple times on the fingerprint. Let me show you how to add a fingerprint on here. I'm going to hit the set button. It's now set, so I'm going to add my thumb. I'm going to keep doing this. This is how you add an additional one. And when it gets enough samples, it beeps and it gets that blink 3 times. So now I should be able to come up to it with my thumb and instantly open it, which is really cool. So 3 ways to open this one. There is no app control. They do have a version with app control. Let me bring you back here and show you, this would hold quite a bit of cash maybe. In this size, it looks like it holds a couple bills. If you want the super large edition, it has 2 of the hold downs there. That would hold very large bills, some of your cartoon notes, I think. So I want to thank these guys for sending this out. This is from Bill Conch. This is their personal items, personal effects safe. Definitely a great product. And I can't wait to start using this. I've had products like this in the past, and I've sent them to relatives that maybe have cash that they want to keep safe, especially if they've got kids. Keeping your cash safe around kids is always important. For everybody's sake. So we'll put that down and we will get the next product out. Gotta make sure I do this right because we've got some pretty interesting stuff coming up. The next 2 products are some fun stuff, especially what's happening this weekend. I am upgrading to 10 gigabit networking here at the house. So very excited about adding 10G to here. I have 2 products from Sedola. I'm going to show you guys these at the same time and why you might want to pick one versus the other, depending on your use case. Now, I was telling Sedola about my plans to upgrade and how much fun I've been having. I'm using a Sedola 2.5 gig switch for the network today, which is really nice. I also have a Sedola 24-port PoE switch, gigabit switch, which is great. Sedola is a low-cost leader in the network switching space. They have a great market. They have all sorts of different products, whether you need a 4-port, 8-port, 10-port, 16-port, up to 24-port switches, and maybe even larger. That's the largest I've used from them. They keep the prices down and they keep them very, very easy. Now, what's unique about this is they have their first managed switch that I've started to use from them. So I'll show you how that is different than the other ones. And then they have an unmanaged. So let me start out with the unmanaged because we'll take a quick unbox of that and see what's there. So this is the unmanaged offering. And what that means is you're not going to have advanced controls like QoS and VLANing and all these other things, but it's very easy to deploy. And in a lot of the installations that I've helped with, I try to use the most simplistic switches as possible just because of that reason. So give me 1 second. I want to make sure I got the right Sedola switch on here. So I actually need to update that product. I'm sorry about that. Let me make sure I do that right, because if I don't have the right Sedola switch, give me 1 second, and then it doesn't connect to the product properly. And I swore I had that on. There it is. We're going to add that to the stream. This is a very unique product, like I said. So this one happens to be a 4-port 2.5 gig, but it also has 2 10 gigabit SFP plus ports on it. So you can use this with your 10 gigabit network, but you can use it as a bridge to access your 2.5 devices. So not all of my devices in here are going to have 10 gigabit, and I don't want to waste ports for that. So let's take a look here. Let's open it up. Inside, they almost all get the same information. This is a very, very simple switch to plug in and operate. It's going to tell you a little bit about the different lights, the ports, things like that. So really straightforward operation. It's got a little bit of technical information here about the max forwarding rates and packets per second and all that. It has 60 gigabit switching capability on here on this model, and it'll go up to 100 gigabit. So you could basically use all the ports on this thing. And there's several different models. Now, in this case, I have, you can see right here, 2.5 gig across the board. And then I have these SFP plus ports where I can go 1 gig, 2.5, or 10 gig transceivers. That's usually fiber optic or gigabit or 10 gig over RJ45, which is a little more expensive. Fiber optic's a little bit cheaper, and they have pretty wide compatibility here for the different SFP plus modules. Make sure you're using SFP plus though, because that's what these ports are. They're not backwards compatible. So that is from Sedola here. Now, I've been a big fan of their switches because they usually have integrated power supplies. Now, these lower end, consumer grade switches are going to have the wall warts here. And in this case, I'm not too worried about that. The one nice thing about that is if this ever goes bad, you can replace it without replacing the switch, which is a one advantage of having an external power supply. On the bigger ones, I tend to like the internal ones because if you're going to rack mount these kind of things, you don't want them to be all over the place with extra wires and cables. In a home user network, I don't usually mind so much. So we're going to take this one, we're going to plug it in, and we'll see if any of the lights come on. There we go. So the power light's instantly on. The nice thing about the unmanaged ones, they're booting up and they're booted up that quickly. So I'm going to bring out my show laptop here. This is my personal MacBook. Let me get into this. And what we're going to do is I'm going to show you some bandwidth tests, and we're going to see if I can hit the 2.5 gig advertised speed on this. It's going to be close. I've done some testing earlier. So now, if you want to get to 2.5 gigs, even on my MacBook Pro, it does not have a built-in Ethernet port. So what do I have to do? I have to use this adapter. And this is a 2.5 gig USB network adapter, and it's a USB-C. So I go ahead and plug that in. And now I'm not going to get an IP address, but you can see down here, white says 2.5G, blue is the link activity light. So the blue is blinking. So we're at 2.5 gigabit already on this connection. Now I just happen to have 2.5 gig Sedola, like I said, running this bench. So I'll take the upstream feed here. Actually, give me 1 second. I want to do one test before I do that. So if I bring this laptop up over here, hopefully you guys can see this. This is iPerf 3, and it's going to allow me to do some tests. Now, it might mess with my microphone, but let me see if I can do that. Okay, I got to go to my other connection here. So I'm going to log in to my other system, and because everybody uses root, I'm going to log in as root. And then I'm going to do iPerf 3 and server mode. So it's listening as a server. Now I'm going to go run 3 parallel streams of iPerf here, and I'm going to get over my Wi-Fi about 500 megabit. So this has got Wi-Fi 6. My other access point's Wi-Fi 6. So I'm getting a 500 megabits in here. I could turn this around and do it reverse, but that's about the limit of what I'm going to be able to connect at here. So now I'm going to go ahead and we'll bring you guys back here on the top down. I'm going to go ahead and switch this over to show you the difference when I have 2.5 gig wired connection. So now I've plugged the switch in. So this is a switch to switch. It automatically figures out what's uplink and what's not. We're going to go ahead and plug this in. So now I'm going to be routing at the high speed 2.5 gig. So let's go back to the computer here. And if I go up in the corner, you're not going to be able to see this until I do it, but let me go to network preferences. You're actually going to see I have the USB at a higher priority than the other device. So if I come back here to my network test and I do an iPerf, if everything works right, I'm over 2 gigs. There we go. So now you can see I'm getting 2.33 gigabits per second. Now I've heard from some friends that iPerf kind of has some limitations, that it starts to slow down at a certain gigabit rate. But that's the iPerf. Here we go. So 2.3 gigs out of 2.5. I'm very happy with that. It's 4.5 times faster than the Wi-Fi was. It's also 2 times greater than my gigabit network when I plug into the gigabit. And this is going through multiple switches until it gets over to the machine on the other side of the room there. So that's the Sedola 2.5. Now, what's neat about this is you could have your network running on this, and you can use an SFP plus to uplink here to your main switches. Or if you know that your internet connection is not that fast, you can go from any one of these ports to your main switch for internet. And then you could connect two 10 gig devices. Maybe it's one of your editing stations and a NAS, and they are also switched and joined with these. So these are not uplink only, they're part of the same 6-port switch here. And that will give you full 10 gigabit throughput between those devices and internet access. Before, to get 10 gig, you were doing some cheating stuff by like plugging these in directly to machine connections and subnets and different IPs and all that. This allows you for a very economical price to come do that. Speaking of price, let's go see what that price is right now. I'm going to bring them up on Amazon. So this is a Sedola 6-port switch. And I'm going to bring you guys over to the show PC. We're going to take a look at it here. So this is the one that I was looking at. That's the managed. I'm looking for this one. This is $42 here. This one's got the SFP slots. Want to make sure I'm looking at. This is the gigabit. Uh-oh. Let me make sure I pull the right one up because they've got several different options here. I need the 2.5 gig. There we go. That's the one I'm looking at right now. And again, very good value, under $50 for this one. If I've got that right. Where's the Sedola version though? Yeah, that's probably why it got picked wrong, because it did not automatically come up as that. Let me go over here and I'm going to see if it got messed up and got into these switches. There's the 8 gig. No, I'll update the idea list so you see the right one, because I want to make sure that we get the right product linked here. But this is from Sedola. If we take a look at the top, you'll see the branding on it. It is 2.5 gig plus 10G, 4-port 2.5, and 10 gig fiber. It's going to have 2 of those SFP plus ports. Okay, so that was one of them. We're actually going to switch over, and I'm going to open one more now. Let me unplug this. We're going to put this one away, and I'm going to get another one out here that they sent me. Now, this is if you don't have a ton of 2.5 gig devices. Let's see here, that need to talk to 10 gig at the same time. So this would be more for your 10 gig uplink. Let me go ahead and put this out of the way. And we'll open this one up. Now, this one is a managed switch. We're going to have to talk about the difference, and I'll log into it and show you all the features of this. So this is from Sedola as well. This is 8 ports of 2.5 and 1 10 gig uplink. So let's open this up, do a quick unbox for you guys. This one I'm very excited about because a lot of my gear on this side of the studio is 2.5 capable, but I need that 10 gig to upload to my switch. So you can see here, it's going to have 8 2.5 ports. So tons of switching capacity there, plus this 9th port, which is going to be the 10 gig SFP port on here. So this is SFP plus essentially. So you're gonna have to make sure you get those devices in. It has the same battery external power adapter like the other one that we talked about. It is going to have a very small manual. Now, what's interesting about this is there's a lot of more going on with this one because of the management. And it looks like they have some of their other models here for you to see as well. It does have some information about connectivity. The IP address on this one is 192.168.2.1 by default. So you're going to have to set your IP into that range to get into the management. Now, I've already done that. And I gave it a DHCP address. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what we need. Now, what's neat about this is even if you don't want to use any of the managed capabilities of this, you just need an 8-port with an uplink, an 8-port 2.5 with an uplink. This is a great product for doing that. I'm going to go ahead and plug it into the network and turn it on. It is very fast booting. That's another thing with some of these other options to get to 10 gig. You're using these old commercial switches and they take forever to boot up. So if you have to restart things, that can be a while. So I'm going to go ahead and plug this into my network. And then I'm going to take the power adapter and plug it into the back. And then you see we're starting up right now. We should see a link light here in just a second. So system's booting up. And there we go. We're connected. So that fast. Green light here means 2.5 gig. If it was connected to my smaller switches, it would be an orange light. So you'll see that right away. So that's good news. Let's go ahead and take this laptop here. We're going to do a very similar test with this one, but I'm also going to get you into the web management console, and we'll talk about that. So this is from Sedola. We're taking a look at their 8-port managed switch. Now, why would you want to use a managed switch? Let's talk about that here. So I've gone ahead and plugged in the show laptop and I'm connected to the switch. Now, what's neat about this is you don't have to have a managed switch all the time. So, like I said, I don't use these in all installations, but when you need them, you really need them. Here we go. So I'm going to go 99.175. And hopefully the IP address on this one stayed the same. Go. Okay, let's see if it's going to be the same IP address. I'll bring you guys back over here for a second. I can take a look and see if it picked up another one. I have to go into my Unify, so I'm going to keep you guys out of that console. Got a lot going on there. So I can go into my devices, see my clients here, and I'm going to go uptime. So we have that one. I was just using this not too long ago. So it is routing for me. I just want to make sure it didn't reset back to that one. Okay. No, 99.175. Did I do that right? See if I got the HTTP on there. Just looking. So that was up 24 seconds, it says. I'm going to ping it real quick. 99.175. Interesting. So it's not seeing that on that one. This one does not have a console port. Let me make sure that this is routing properly. And connect that way. That will be interesting. Let me change one thing on this network and make sure it did not bounce back to a manual IP address. I'll get that real quick here on my Mac. So hopefully you guys are having a great night tonight. But yeah, my big plan is to go to 10 gig this weekend. So I am going to be using this switch and a few others. Yep. So that's what it was. It was actually, it had reverted back to the old IP address here. So you can see the 192.168.2.1, that's the default IP address. So what I did is I manually set one of my network connections, my LAN connection, to 2.3. So I'm able to use another IP address. And now I can come back to the web UI and we can talk about why that is that way. So 192.2.1. This is the management console. Admin's going to get you into that the first time. I'm going to increase the size of it so you can see a little better, hopefully. So there's my device. It's going to show me what's active, what's plugged in, what the speeds are. I don't have any 10 gig uplink going right now, but this is going to be work really, really well because it's going to allow me to get all my 2.5 devices on here connected, and it's going to have a 10 gig uplink so I can have multiple devices at full speed. There's a couple menus on the left side I'll talk about. So it's going to have just some basic information. This is the IP address. So if you want it to get a local network address, you don't have to use this private network. You just turn that to enabled and it'll get a new IP address on the network. You can update the username and the password, which is great. So you can prevent people from just hammering on that admin account. So that's good to see. This is going to have port information so you can set specific speeds within each port. It's also going to tell you that I'm at full 2.5 gig full duplex here on this, which is great. Let's go into configuration because this is where all the fun stuff happens. So I'm not going to get into all of the specifics of VLANing, but what you do here with these 8 and 9 ports now, technically you can set up different LANs and VLANs for maybe you have a camera network, maybe you have an untrusted guest device. Now, I had a device come in here the other day and it had some spyware on it, and I really wanted that thing to be isolated on its own network, its own device, so I can do that with VLANing and not have to worry about its traffic showing up. So if you know about VLANs, this has that full VLAN capability, 2.5 gig and a 10 gig uplink with a price that's we're going to show you in a second, which is pretty incredible. QoS is really nice. So this is the quality of service. QoS is a substantial improvement in a small network, especially if you have something like me right now where I have a show. Oh, Mike went down for 3 seconds. It was probably the Wi-Fi doing some tests. But yeah, when you have a show like this and you want to, say port 2 needs to be prioritized above everything else, you can set that on port 2 as you can give it a QoS value that's higher than the rest of the ports, and it will be in there. And then once you've assigned these queues, you can set the priority of the queues in here. So you can say, okay, this belongs to Q1, this belongs to Q2. So that's the way that they do queue-based or queue-based QoS on here. It does have loopback protection. So sometimes if you have some UniFi gear, I've seen this happen a lot where some of the APs will mesh to each other, but they'll both be connected to the network. They just don't know it. And then you'll start having that. So spanning tree protocol is supported here for stopping loopbacks. That's when a port goes back into itself, so that it can use those. It does have IGMP snooping. It has the trunk groups settings, so you can do that so that you're going to get all of the traffic out of there. Port-based mirroring on a managed switch is something that security people love, because if you want to monitor the traffic from another machine, switches are kind of like surge strips or power splitters for regular networks or for regular home power, except they're smart. So if a packet comes in and it's destined for a device that's on port 4, it's not going to broadcast that like an old hub used to. It's going to send it just to the person whose MAC address is on that port. Sometimes you want to sniff the traffic on your network and make sure that things aren't bad. So people will put one of these switches intermediate in their network, and they will send a mirror of all the traffic. It looks like it has RX and TX traffic or both, and they'll send that to a specific port on the switch, and they'll put a device in promiscuous mode, they call it, and it can now read all of the data that's coming across. So that is another really cool feature of this, is that it has the port-based mirroring. Port isolation is really cool. So you can actually group ports together. So you can make this one 9-port switch into 2 or 3 or more individual switches, and they will have no communication with each other at all. So it's very similar to VLANing, but a lot easier to set up and manage. It does have bandwidth control, which I thought was amazing, especially as a software engineer by day. Sometimes we want to test, what would this be like on a slower network? If this was a slower speed, how would I test this? This has the ability to set the ingress or egress bandwidth in here and set a limit in kbits per second, which is really slick if you're trying to test how an application works. Or maybe you want to rate limit your kids. Like, I think I know my audio might be having issues because my kid's on Wi-Fi playing Fortnite right now. So this is a way that you can set a limit to specific ports and their speeds. Jumbo frames are awesome, so you can use those to get a lot more bandwidth through your network, which is cool. You have MAC address limitations. This is really cool for security. So like I said earlier, if somebody's on port 4 and you want to send to that specific computer, this can be really helpful in a business or an organization where you don't want the janitor coming by and plugging his laptop and getting online. So you can have MAC address filtering. So you can see this thing has a ton of capabilities. Triple E setting. I don't know what that is. I have not dealt with that. So if you guys are watching on the show, let me know in the chat what the EEE function is. I've never used that on switches. So security, you've got some more MAC address information in here. You've got monitoring capability. So when we did some of our testing earlier here, you're going to see there's my port statistics. I'm actually going to turn this off because I was still pinging, and I'm going to run that iPerf again. Now we're running over the switch, or it looks like we're running over Wi-Fi. It looks like we're not running over the switch in priority mode here. Okay, so that's limiting us there. Let's go ahead and turn this off. Oh, and I know why, because I've set a private network address for this one, and I won't be able to use the switch, but I can come back here. This is actually kind of funny. So I can come back to this one. I'll show you how to set that DHCP. So by default, it comes with this 192.168.2.1. I can go into IP setting and I can turn it to enabled here. So it says it's going to lose internet connection for a second. I'm going to go on my machine and I'm going to turn it off of a static address. I'm going to give it DHCP, and then I'm going to hit apply. And then I'm going to close this. So now it's going to go out and get an address. I just happen to know last time it got 192.175, and it got the same address, which is cool. So now I have that address in it, and I'm not going to worry about admin being a password. So now we're going to come down here, and now that we're technically on that network, I can turn my Wi-Fi off and use just my wired connection. And we're going to go from 507 megabits over Wi-Fi, and now we're going to go to 2.3 gigabits. So yeah, we're getting the full speed on here. Got Got a message in the chat. I will have to follow up with you on that. I don't know on that one. I'll check with that later on the stream person that's in the chat there. Okay, so that's, again, this is the switch from Sedola. This is their managed switch. Now, I am going to show you guys how to upgrade the firmware on this, because there is already a firmware upgrade, but we did not have that by the time of the show tonight. But you can see there's all your settings that you have. There is your 10 gigabit uplink. I can't wait to use this thing. It is going to be wall mountable, so you're going to have the 2 holes here that you can attach to a wall mount, and it's going to have a ground pin in the back. So that's from Sedola. Very happy to test that out. It's looking like it's going to be a great device. And like I said, I will add the firmware update steps in here. So if anybody picks this up, you can follow me and we will find out the firmware together and see if it, the only thing I could say might be nice is just the UI is a, Times New Roman. Maybe we could get a little cleaner on the UI, but for the price on this, on a web managed switch, I don't know if there is a command line version of this, but for the price, I do almost all of my management through the web anyway. Sometimes it's just easier and faster to go through GUIs, especially when you're just monitoring stuff and looking at stuff. So there you go. I'm going to put that away, and we're going to go on to our next few products here. We've got a few more left for tonight, and then I will bid you guys adieu. And then this weekend, I get to do my big 10 gig upgrade. So I got my weekend cut out for me. So I'm going to come back over here just so you guys can see this product. This is from my Amazon show page here. This product is 10% off right now. This is the 2.5 gig 9-port switch with one 10 gig uplink. So it's got a 10% off coupon. So this brings it down from $120 all the way down to, it looks like a $10 additional more would be $89 for a 2.5 gig and a 10 gig switch with a managed uplink. That's pretty slick for a managed switch with uplink. So very excited to see that. And the pricing on these is just getting better and better. I'm going to go ahead and pull up our next product. Thanks, Joanna, for stopping by. She's heading back out. So that was cool there. Go ahead and get our next product going. I'll make sure I get the right one. So our next product is from Studio Phoenix. Now, these guys reached out to me with this product and asked if I'd be interested in checking it out. And I have the perfect spot for it. So let me get it up here. I have to be careful because Amazon is really getting to us about barcodes. I can't have barcodes anywhere on my display or they get kind of odd about that. So this is from Studio Phoenix. This is an outdoor weatherproof set of speakers that are Bluetooth that you can use outside. So I know we're kind of in the rainy season in Washington. We're in the winter. I'm excited to mount these outdoor, but before I do that, I wanted to show you everything kind of in here in the studio. So bear with me. I'm going to make sure that this GoPro is all set up for our unboxing. I'm going to do a quick unboxing with you guys here, show you what you get in the kit. And then next week, after I get them installed, I'm going to show you everything about it. So let me open this up here. I'll bring you guys in the top down so you can see you're going to get a pretty basic manual. There are 3 different versions of this and 2 different colors. So there's 6 SKUs altogether. These are the 6.5 inch. There's a 5 1/4 and a 4-inch set of speakers here from Studio Phoenix. They're fairly large. I think the other speakers will definitely be smaller, but this 6.5s, they've done a good job. This is the device itself, one of them. They've done a great job of designing it to be waterproof and packaging them in pretty small package. I'm going to bring out the extra one over here. Now, the one thing that's interesting about these, they do not have an auxiliary in. So they're Bluetooth in only, but I do have some Bluetooth adapters for transmission, which would be pretty cool. Let's get in the box here. There is a AC adapter that came with it. There's a extra plug that they include. You don't need to use this, but what you can do is connect this to any 12-volt source. Well, where would you need to use that? RVing. If you're an RV user like we are, we can mount these to the outside of your RV and plug it into the battery that you have already in your RV, and that will allow these to work. So let's go out here and I can show you them. So a couple different options. They do have little baby feet, so they can sit here and stand and they don't wobble. You could take the brackets off if that was the case, if you were going to use them like this more often. But you can see in there, they've got 6.5-inch speakers, and then they have a very small tweeter inside. I'm going to go ahead and show you this from the manual so you guys can see it. There's the orientation of it. Also, make sure that you get the positive and negative terminals right. So on the back of each one, and I'm going to show you this here. So they're adjustable. You can see this mounting bracket. Once you get it mounted, you can tighten the bracket, but you're going to look at both of these. One of them has the actual receiver and the amplifier in it, and that's this one on this side in my case. Now I'm going to go ahead and get this ready to plug in, and we're going to plug it in, and I'll show you how to add it to a phone super quickly. Which was really, really easy to do. So this is like a 15-minute install, you know, if you had to climb up a ladder and put them in. I've got a great outdoor living space, and I can't tell you, I've gone through probably 2 Amazon Echoes outdoor, not the outdoor edition. I don't have one of those, but I've taken them outdoors, and eventually they get wet, they get knocked over, they get left outside. I've gone through the UE Booms, the portable speakers, but there's something nice about just having permanently mounted speakers, and these are 200 watts of power each. So Jonathan Talks Hardware says he ordered himself the Soundcore Rave Neo 2nd Gen. That's another option, but you know what's neat about this? Never needs recharging. It plugs in, so you don't have to worry about it ever being out of power. And with 2 separate speakers, you can actually separate and create a better field for sound, and they'll get louder. These things will get so loud. I was upstairs testing them out earlier, and my wife might have had a fit about that. So let me go ahead and open this up for you real quick. So I've put them in red to red, black to black. You can use banana clips with them, which are the other style connectors. I'm going to go ahead and plug in the power to that side. Now you probably just heard her say Bluetooth mode. So it does have voice here. I'm going to show you how quick and easy it is to set up using the Show iPhone if it's still connected. So I just need to make sure that I get this plugged in, and we'll get it on the screen for you guys. So if everything's working right, there it is. I'm going to go into the settings application here. So if you want to add something on an iPhone, it's very simple. Just go into Bluetooth. We're going to go down to the bottom. You see this HOS 601.
Connected.
So now it's connected. Now there is no volume control specific on these units, and there's a reason for that. Give me 1 second. You would have to climb up and turn the knob anyway, and where I'm going to mount these is going to be so far from reach, you're not going to be able to do that. You can, however, control the volume from your phone. So I'm going to go ahead and play some music here. I have to, let's do Howl. And Howling at the Moon. This is one that I have a license to, so I can play it. So it's going to play over these speakers here, if I've done everything right. Give me 1 second. Oh, dock connector. So sorry, it's coming over here. I need to play it over the HOS. Okay. You know what's funny is my playback is not going to work on this one. It's playing, but it's at like half speed. So it definitely is working, but it's not as fast as it would. That's just something going on in the studio today here. Definitely. Oh, you know, it might actually be my microphone too, because my microphone transmit over 2.5G. So that is one drawback of not having a wired connection. It is completely Bluetooth, so you can transmit. So this would be great for an outdoor space. I could see that. If you have multi-room audio, like a receiver or something, a home theater, you can get a different model of these that has auxiliary connections and other stuff. This one specifically is going to be Bluetooth, and I can't wait to install this. Let's go over here and take a look at the show page for that one, because then you can see a little bit about how they install these. So let me pull this up here. So those are the speakers right here. Those are the outdoor speakers. I'm going to look to see if they've got the HOS 601s today. I do not see the HOS 601, so I can't show that on there. But yes, so Studio Phoenix makes a bunch of other ones that are available here. I don't see their Bluetooth. You know what? I see the 5 1/4. And I see these passive ones, but I don't see specifically the 6.5-inch ones. So they have the HOS 501 available on Amazon, but they don't have this newer one yet. Well, the good news is the larger ones are coming. So the 6.5-inch speakers, they're 200 watts per speaker, and they're indoor and outdoor rated, so they're waterproof. So that's going to be another great upgrade for the back entertaining center here. And like I said, it does come with an extra cable here. So if you were excited about maybe using this with an RV or camping, if you have a 12-volt battery connection, you don't need to have 120. If you've got a car, even with the car off, you could plug the 12-volt in, and this would work out really well in there. So that's from Studio Phoenix, and I will be putting together installation video to help people that need to install that coming up here very shortly. Next product up, let me get this ready for us. I'm going to bring the Studio Phoenix products over here. This is going to be a fun one, especially this winter here. So this is from Lamon. This is their humidifier and diffuser. Let me bring this up on the top down so you guys can see it here real quick. I'm going to go ahead and open it up. Now, in the winter, that's one of the things about it getting really cold. It was down to 10 degrees earlier. Of course, I can't get this one to open up now. I just had it open earlier. So when we were here last week, it was down to 10 degrees at night. And when that happens, it gets very, very dry air. Now, I'm going to go ahead and pull this thing up. I'm going to take the different pieces out, and I will show you what all the components of this are. This is a humidifier. So if you've got a kid that maybe is stuffed up a lot, congested, try extra humidity. That can be a really helpful thing, you know, for some kids. That's what our pediatrician always tells us. So this is the components of it. Now, what's interesting about it is it comes with this very large, it looks like a HEPA filter, but I could not find any HEPA rating on it. But this filter is actually designed to get wet, which I never expected. So I'm going to go ahead and put that here in the bottom of the unit. So I'm showing you guys how to set this up essentially too at the same time. So we'll go on the top down. So that's how the filter fits in there. You can see down there, there's a little, filtration cartridge at the bottom. Now you can take this top piece. There's two ways to fill this. You can have this top piece on, and then you can fill it up. So there's what it looks like. I'm going to go over to the side for you. So there's what it looks like. It's got a little fill indicator here on the side. It is also going to have UV sterilization. That's something you don't see in a lot of, standard humidifiers. It does have an LCD display, so I'm going to show you all about that. They're pointing out here, and again, I can't give medical advice to you guys, and I'm not giving medical advice, but asthma, air conditioning in the summer, heat in the winter, and baby and elderly, and fruit. So what they're trying to say here is that in the winter, when you're trying to keep things warm, you always want higher humidity. So if you have like a wood stove there, having something that's a kettle or something boiling can help it feel warmer in there. In the summer, this is another problem when you're in air conditioned environments a lot. To make things feel cooler, they remove humidity out of the air, and automatically you're going to get dried out. So having a humidifier works great in both seasons to help you out. So this is the remote control that comes with it, the user manual. There's the evaporative humidifier here. And what it's going to do is it's going to blow air by all this. Now, in the remote control, you're going to have this tab to pull out. So make sure you pull that out. Otherwise, it won't work. And then you're going to worry that it may be defective, but it's not. So make sure you pull that tab out so that it can work. This is the AC adapter. So that plugs into the top of the unit, and then it goes into your wall. I'm going to give you a quick cord length test. I think it would be nice if this was at least 6 feet, but it doesn't look like it will be. Oh, you know what? It's 5.5, if that. So real close to 6 feet cord. That'll be good because putting these in different areas of rooms can be very helpful. Like I said, there's two ways to fill this thing up. So you can take, and you're looking for specifically on the side here, there's that fill indicator. I'll bring you guys over here so you can see it. So I'm going to fill this thing up. The filter is going to get wet. There's no way around that because it's in the bottom. Now I'm going to go ahead and pour this in. Now you can pour water in directly like I'm doing. I'm going to put 64 ounces. This thing will take 1.2 gallons of water. So I've pulled all that water in there. There's another neat thing you can do with this, and I thought, why not try it today? which is it's also an essential oils diffuser. So spearmint to make this smell good in here as well. I could put honestly another 64 ounces in. So I'm going to put a few drops in there. You can adjust as necessary. I am going to put the filter back in. So filter is integral to this system here. I'm going to take this top unit. Now it has a key on it. So you can see that indicator right there. Now the display is on the opposite side. So your fill indicator is going to be hidden. So if you walk up to this thing, you have the branding on the front side. This was great during COVID. Our church had a bunch of these style filters. So this is both a filter and a humidifier in one. You're going to have a simple control on top here. So an on-off control for this motor up here. So we can turn it on, and then you can see the relative humidity in the room, and then the fan is running. So let's see here. Oh, you know what? It does have essential oil diffuser pads. I didn't even notice that. Take a look at that. So my faux pas, I just added directly to the water like I've done with other units, but you can actually put it in on a pad if you want. That actually makes it a little bit more concentrate. So they say to not add it while the unit is working here. So that on off could be labeled better, but that is for the essential oils there. Now I'm going to show you the display on the side here. Hopefully you guys can see that. So it's 44% relative humidity. It's going to be increasing here. You can adjust the fan speed. So you can see there you have a night mode for quiet, low there as well. You can set a timer on it. So you can go 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. You can, looks like, set a humidity target. So you can get up to that level of humidity and then shut down. I know it's so funny, like during the summer in Florida, they're trying to like lower the humidity. Here we are trying to increase the humidity. So, if you have maybe a cigar room and you want to keep the humidity up for your humidor, a walk-in humidor, this would be a really cool device as well. So you can, again, adjust this fan speed. That also turns on the night mode. If the night mode's on, it looks like the on-screen display times out. If I turn the night mode off, let's see, I'm guessing that keeps the display on, but we'll see if the display automatically turns off. So then it's cycling through its different settings. So there you go. Pretty cool. And it's almost completely silent. I've got it on there. Hopefully you guys can hear that. So that's from the Lamon company. Let's go take a look at it in the Amazon show page. I'm going to make sure I pull this up correctly for you guys. Now, I was able to tag the black one here, but there's the white version, and the white version is the one I've got, and it's on sale right now, so awesome. It's $139.99 normally. It's down 14% plus an additional $30 off. So that's going to take you into the 89 range. So not bad. It also does have a wireless remote control. So if I take it back over here to the side, you can see that. I can turn it on or off. Let's see. I just turned it off. Can it turn on with the unit? There it is. So yeah, so pointed at that. Looks like it's an infrared remote. So that's able to turn it on. I can adjust the fan speed up and down. So that's the little remote control that comes with it. Not bad. There is no app to go with this or pairing or Wi-Fi or anything that I'm aware of right now, but pretty cool little device here. You may occasionally need to change out the filter. One thing that I'm not seeing in there right now, which I don't think you can control, is the ultraviolet filtering. So there is a light in the inside that's supposed to be sanitizing this with UV light. I'm going to pull up their page and we'll see if it shows a picture of that. So there's the humidification. So 0.4 liters per hour, 400 milliliters per hour of humidification it's offering. Humidifier and filter, like we talked about. There is the different kinds of cleanliness that it has. Filters large particles in the water. Okay, so yeah, so that's the filter that's integrated to this thing is what they're offering as well. So very cool. It says it's good for 505 square feet is what they're recommending from a surface area perspective. So that's from Lamon, and that is their humidifier. Now, of course, it has water in it, so I got to be careful as we switch to our next product because I don't want to spill this thing and have to clean it up. That's just my luck. So I'm going to go ahead and unplug this. I'm going to put it down very carefully here. So that is a humidifier and essential oil diffuser. We have one or two products left technically. I'm going to do the one product because I want to make sure we're ending on time and conscious of that. So this is from Rosie Kite. Now, Rosie Kite reached out to me. I've done some other videos for different whole home lighting kits. This one I'm very excited to put in. So it's a smart RGB permanent lighting kit for your house. Can't tell you how many times I still have my Christmas lights up. It's middle of January, right? Late January. I need to go up and get those. I don't want to keep doing this every year. This kit to me looks very interesting. We're going to unbox it here right now, and then we're going to see about setting the app up. This is from Rosie Kite. Now, this is 100 feet of high intensity lights that are smart controllable and the full spectrum RGB. So I'm going to show you what you get in here. This is my first time opening it too, and I get to go install this. Now, they do have a ton of installation clips. That's exciting to see. They're going to have a standard RGB controller, but you do also have app control. So it looks like that's the inline receiver for power. Okay, there's a pretty large power brick. It'll be interesting to see how that power brick works. This is 24 volts at 3 amps, 72 watts, which when you think about it, for 100 feet of lights, 72 watts is not that bad, you know. So these are high efficiency LEDs, so they're going to look really good. Looks like I'm just checking the ratings on Amazon. There's 63 different scenes. There's 72 LEDs. So it's a 1 watt per LED situation. So similar to your outdoor lighting if you already have it. So here is one bag, and here is a second bag. I'm just trying to see if this actually has two separate ones or if they have to be chained together. You can use as many or as few of these as you want. You cannot cut the lights from my understanding. I just want to see real quick. Again, this is my first time unboxing them. So I do see end connections. It does look like they are, connected through these joints here. So you should be able to, if I can find, I see one end here. You should be able to connect and disconnect them as needed here. So I'm going to go back out to the side here so you can see this. That was just one of the two kits. I'm only going to hook one of them up because that's all we need to do this real simple introduction. I'm just trying to give you guys a taste of what's coming up next week on the show. I'm going to go ahead and get the power because we're going to do a quick sampling here, and we're going to see if we can do the smart app at least. So I'm going to go ahead and get this plugged in. So really simple, easy to use waterproof connectors. And then this is actually also a waterproof transformer. So that's kind of neat, nice to see. That is UL listed. Now that I do need to point out to you guys here, UL listing is not easy. So when this says CUL US there, that Underwriters Laboratories listing, I almost never see on something. That's a very high quality. Now this is, it looks like a bridge between sets. So if you finish one area, and this is what my installation concern was going to be, is I have a 100-foot kit here, but I want to go from one section of my house to another, and I don't want it to be lit up. So this gives me a little bit of an area maybe to wrap around a corner where you don't want it lit to go from eave to eave. So I see at least one of those within that kit. Let's see if we have any more. I'm going to try to find the end, which I just had. So I need the female end. So this is the male, or sorry, this is the female end, and I'm going to need the male end of one of these. And we're going to just see if we can plug half of them in, and we'll get them started here. This is what you get for doing a live show. Okay, I found the end. So again, waterproof connectors on all these. I'm doing this with them unplugged. So there we go. So you would tighten that down on that waterproof connection. Now, there's several different ways to attach these. They have all of these clips. I believe there's 70 plus clips in here, which is going to be enough, and then very small screws. So you can put that up under your eaves. I'm going to practice with it. It looks like it also has this 3M adhesive backing, which is going to be great if you want to do the stick down method here, or do both. And then in here, it actually has a lens. I don't know if you can see that. It has a parabolic lens to make the light shine even better. I can't imagine what these are going to look like when they're turned on. I'm going to have to plug them in now real quick. So I'm going to go ahead and plug it in. And there we go. That is bright. You know it's bright when it readjusts my studio lighting. So this one does not adjust automatically. It's doing a flashing red scene right now. I'm just getting the remote controller out here. So let's go over to the side here. So that's remote control. Remember, remove the tab, and then I should be able to change the light color to something more constant. Okay, so now we're on blue. Blue is one of my favorite colors to test. I'm going to show you guys that with the GoPro here, so you guys can see the nice color that this is. I can go to green, blue, purple. Sometimes the colors don't show up exactly a yellow, so that's pretty good yellow color right there. And then I can actually turn off, plug that in. I can actually turn off the overhead light, and maybe that will show up a little bit better. So not much. I didn't have much on that overhead light today, apparently. So there we go. So that's what it looks like with all the lights in the studio off. And then you can do a couple interesting things. You can do automated modes, so you can have it change lights. Oh, and you know what? Did I mention they're addressable RGB? So I'm seeing half of the strand is changing color while the other half isn't. So you can do different chase modes. My wife is going to die when we get these things installed. So it's the last set of Christmas lights on your house that you're really ever going to need. They are completely waterproof, IP67 rated here. This is going to be 100 feet. They're RGB IC. So that's going to be nice. They can actually even connect to music. So this is the standard white look here. So that's what they're considering a color white. They're also app enabled, and I want to double check because I don't have that currently set up on my show iPhone, but let's take a look because I'm going to log into the Smart app. So they recommend using the Smart Life app. I'm going to bring that up real quick and we'll take a look at it. So the one thing I love about the Smart Life app is I've got other devices already in this Smart Life. I've got my RV heater, so I can go see what the temperature is in my RV, and I can now add a device, and I want to see with this if it tells me exactly what kind of device to add because okay, Smart Life app, login, sign up, add a device, and then we have to pick lighting. Let's see, home, strip lights, Wi-Fi. I just want to make sure that it's telling me the right one. Turn the power on and off to the device. Okay, so I got to do this, turn it off, turn it on. They should be blinking red if everything's working. There we go. So blinking red, and then add device in the top right corner, home page, to go down to device add page. Others, I don't see. This is the thing about doing the things live. Lighting. I'm just going to do this, discover device. That's the easiest way to do it. Searching for nearby device. So it looks like it got that one. I am going to need to put my Wi-Fi information in here. Let's see if it does show it. It does. So I got to switch off. Sorry, guys. I'm going to switch off for 1 second while I put in my Wi-Fi passcode. Okay, now it is adding it right now. And then hopefully it'll come back here in just a second. So this is going to allow me to have application control. It just switched to solid white. So it looks like that's working. And now it was successfully added. So I can change it. Now I can say this is my outdoor lighting. Outdoor lights. And I'll say finish, and then I'll say done. So now I have the ability to, oh, look at this is wonderful. So I can change the hue and the color temperature with this wheel. Now I can also pick individually and draw over a section of lights. So I could go to green, and I can make part of them green. So what does that look like? If I go out to the GoPro, I was using the app, right? And I'm actually here. Let me do this. So we need 4 and 5. And I'm going to do them side by side. So here we go. So I can take this app and I can draw on it. So let's go grab a red color, right? Let's draw some red in there. Now you can see the lights are changing. So as I get these strung up on my house, I'll actually be able to draw different colors. Now you can see the more I draw, the more are turning red on my bench here. And then I can bring this back up and get the color wheel or get a specific color. Let's do the green. And I can start drawing green. And so they're instantly changing. This also allows you to change to music. So if you have an outdoor display for the holidays, I'm really excited about this. Let's go take a look at what they are on Amazon right now, just so you can kind of get yourself some ideas of what this might be like. So I actually need to put myself back in here. I took myself out of the picture in a picture. Let's get myself back in. There we go. So this is the device right here. If you come out here, this is the kind of thing you can expect on your house. So that's a house with stucco. I have vertical lap siding, so we'll see how that looks. But they've tucked them in and hid them really, really well in this installation. That's what I'm excited about. I want to see how this connects. There is the recommended spacing. That's one of the things I was looking at too. It's got 78 clips and then 18 pieces of gum tape to keep them firmly secure. And then you can address the RGB, and you can also make it play with music, which is pretty slick. So very excited to see that as well. Can't wait to test these out. This was from Rosie Kite. Rosie Kite sent this out, and I will be installing this over the next week. We'll do a part 2 of this, and I'll get to show you everything that I got installed, and you're going to get to see what my thoughts are. But so far, just from what I'm seeing in this kit, it's not a cheap kit, but this is a permanent upgrade to your house. So I'm very excited to see how this turns out. I want to thank Rosie Kit and all of the other, or Rosie Kite, I should say, and all of the other vendors that sent products out for a fair and honest review. This has been John the Net Guy. I'm going to catch you guys all next week, probably same bat time, same bat channel, and we will have another show where you get to see cool tech, and hopefully I'll be running on my 10 gig network. So thanks everybody that stuck around tonight, and I will catch you guys all in the next one. See you later.